Hello and welcome to ProSpeak. ProSpeak, it is all about professional speaking, facilitators, trainers, coaches, hangout hosts, where we bring you noted guests, and we have a very special guest here today, Cheryl Cran. I'm so excited. I know Cheryl from before, but anyway, we'll get into that in a moment. And well, you know, what's ProSpeak about? Because some of you, this might be your first visit to ProSpeak. We interview experts, professional speakers, technical people, web people, writers, book publishers, so that you, if you are on the path of becoming a professional speaker and you want to learn, this is the place to be. If you want to learn about what it takes to become a professional speaker, or if you want to learn what it takes to become a top-class facilitator or workshop leader, or even a hangout host, you're in the right place. Mm-hmm. And today, I have the honor and privilege of having Cheryl Cran here, past president of CAPS, which stands for Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. Cheryl is CSP, certified certified speaking professional. I always get that one wrapped.
It's okay.
And she is an international expert speaker. I mean, I can't say enough. I've been a fan of Cheryl ever since I met her at CAPS in Vancouver, and have watched her career, which was already doing well, just go through the roof. And she's going to tell us about her new book, which is coming out this November, I believe. So welcome, Cheryl. Say good morning.
Thank you, Geoffrey. It's so great to see you again, and thank you for having me participate. I love it.
Great. And, of course, we've got co-producer, friend in need, Penny Petty, who's going to watch for any questions or such, and also tell us about next week's show when that comes up. So, Cheryl, you know, we get people who want to be like you, watch the show, and, you know, what does it take to become top-level professional speaker? What do you think it takes? What's the number one thing you think it is?
Well, first of all, anybody watching should not aspire to be anyone other than themselves. You know, you're very gracious, Geoffrey, and I appreciate it. But I really think for me, the key to where I've ended up is the passion and the commitment. That has never wavered for me. I've always seen that as a professional speaker, we have the opportunity to deliver in that forum and to make a difference for people. And that's always been my original driving motivation to become a professional speaker. And then now I don't even see professional speaking as the goal. It's really more about how can I help more and more people with speaking as one of my delivery mechanisms. So it's really evolved over time, but I would say the factor is passion and dedication to the industry and to the practice of helping people.
I think that's really well said, because one of the things I really dislike professionally and personally are people that just think that they can go speak without that passion, without that knowledge, without that experience to share with an audience. And that is actually my experience of you. You are passionate about it. So having said that, how long did it take to get there, just so that we can be realistic? I mean, if somebody's got a passion in their heart, realistically, how long is it going to take them to get?
That's a great question, Geoffrey, because I think we're living in a time where, especially with younger generations, there's a speeding up of the process. It's like they want to get there really fast, and some of them do, by the way. So the way to get successful fast in the speaking industry is to become famous. You know, if you're a celebrity, if you have written the book 4 Hour Work Week, you know, he's just turned 30, young guy who's the author of that. I think it's Timothy Ferriss. His name's not coming to me right this moment. For me, though, it was a process of over 20 years. I actually started my speaking career, actually, let's go way back. Yeah. So when I was 3 years old, my father said to me, Cheryl, you were born talking. That was how my father always identified me, as you were born talking. And then when I went into high school, 2 significant pivotal moments. Number one, I found out I had a gift for writing because I won a poetry contest in grade 3. And then I found out I had a gift for speaking because I won a speaking contest in grade 10. And when I won the speaking contest, it wasn't because I thought that I was very good. It was that I wasn't afraid. I actually was excited to share my ideas, and I wasn't worried about people judging me or thinking anything of it. It was just like I was very passionate, again, about what I was speaking about. So if I look back, it's sort of, and all of us have clues as to what's going to lead us to what our dreams are and what our visions are. And then when I was working in banking and insurance, my very first speaking opportunity was my boss who said, do you want to do the mortgage customer service presentations? And I said, well, why do you want me to do that? And they said, well, nobody else wants to do it. And I was like in my early 20s, and I said, sure, I'll do it. I, again, didn't have any fear. And this was in the late 80s, early 90s, and so when I did the first one, I had so much fun with it. 50 people showed up, and it was fairly successful. From then on, we had standing room only, and they grew to like 150, 200 people wanting to know more about mortgages. And I got promoted, actually, as a result, into mortgage development at that time. So, and then from there, it was another boss who said, will you do a training to our group on the 7 habits of highly effective people? This was in, again, the late 80s, early 90s. I said yes. So it was kind of like, paying attention to the fact that I was being guided. I turned it into a business in 1997 where I launched it. I had started interning with a consulting firm. I had done the Toastmasters route. I had done those things that kind of go, I want to make this into a business. And so for anybody listening, for me it was a 20-year journey, and there's evolutionary scales that you go through on the journey. So I started out as I just want to speak as many times as I can, and I love it so much I'll do it for free. That was the beginning. Then the mid-level is I love it so much I'm getting paid, but now I'm burned out. Then the next level of that is how do I leverage my expertise so that I'm getting higher fees and still having a life. And now where I'm at now is how do I increase and leverage my contribution through my books, through my other mediums, and have it be less about just Cheryl, but more about how do we implement change in organizations that involve the people that are leading within companies. So there's definitely an evolutionary scale in my personal story of how I came to be here, for sure.
Yeah. Well, your story. You don't look old enough to have been doing it that long.
Bless you, Geoffrey. Bless you.
I mean, you're one of the few people I know that their public relations picture is not only beautiful, but you are too. In real life, it matches up, which is last week we had a professional photographer on talking about public relations photographs and why it is so important to do them on a regular basis. And that's your process of evolution. I remember being in that stage was, oh, I love to speak. I'll do it for free.
Yes.
And then suddenly I got asked to do it paid, and that was a shock.
Yes.
Although my first paid gig was 19.
What was that, Geoffrey?
1973. And I went into, I mean, it just was such a surprise, and that turned into, in the beauty industry, I used to work for Redken and did tours and spoke about merchandising, retailing, business management, and the whole process. And that's what led me to this.
Yes.
I think, no, I don't know. I'm just sort of going to make a statement and I'd like to hear what you think about it. I think, unfortunately, there's lots of people who have a modicum skill and have an idea, but they don't have that authenticity or drive or passion, as you call it, and so when they get on the stage, that they feel not quite right.
Yeah.
Right? Do you agree?
I agree. I think that statement's accurate, and I think what it's linked to, and you said the word in what you just said, which is authentic. I think what's really critical for people, especially now, because we're dealing with a fast-paced reality. Audiences are not patient anymore. They are impatient. They want you to give them value immediately. They want usable techniques and ideas. They want to get energy. They want to get inspired. It's like the audiences have become much more demanding, and part of that is because media is constantly, you know, we're talking about sound bites, so people are looking for, give me something that's going to impact me immediately. And I think for a lot of speakers, they say they want to speak, and then when they get on stage, they forget that it's about the audience. And what happens is the lens becomes focused on self, not on why am I here in the first place. And what I'm very clear on, very clear, every time I have the privilege of getting in front of an audience, is it is not about me. It's how can I add value to the people that paid money or their company paid money for them to be there. And I see it as a privilege of it's their time, it's their focus. How can I bring them the utmost value while I have this privilege to be in front of them? That's what I think is the key.
I use a model in my book, Presentation Pal. I'm just going to get it. And yeah, I've got a mobile chair today.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's a funny little model, but here it is.
Yes.
The archer and the bow and arrow and the target. Well, the speaker, well, yeah, there's the speaker, the bow and arrow, the tools, and you know, often when I'm teaching this, people will always focus on the first part, being the archer. And I say, no, 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 the most important element is always the audience. And unless you're engaging them, giving them value, drawing them in, giving them reasons to listen, and giving them actual stuff to take away with them, you know, it's
absolutely crucial. Yep.
And you know, I have developed a kind of a little short word for authenticity, passion, and being real. And Penny knows what it is. It's I call it, you've got to show up. Mm-hmm. And show up authentically. Show up in your passion. Show up in what you're doing. Now, having talked about that, you've got a passion about leadership. And I mean, I experienced you as a leader. In fact, you wrote me into several projects, if I seem to remember. I don't know if the roped in is, that's not really the, you kind of put it in such a way I had to say yes. I just had to say yes. And I loved it. What is one of the, I mean, without giving away the content of your book, what are a couple of points that you, in your research as you got to do this new book, what is the key, a couple of key things that leaders need to pay attention to in this fast, changing, dynamic environment that we live in?
Yeah, and you know, I think thank you for saying what you said, Geoffrey. I think the mark of a good leader is that they engage people to say yes even when they don't even know why they're saying yes. And I will say to you, I've always had that skill. That's partly how I'm wired personality-wise. But over time, of course, you hone the skill, you integrate the skill, you develop your personality attributes, you build your appreciation for other people's skills and gifts. And that is sort of the integration of leadership skill. In the new book, The Art of Change Leadership, Driving Transformation in a Fast-Paced World, the content that I share in there is that it's not enough anymore to even use the word leadership or to say you're a leader. One of the key concepts that I talk about is that everyone is a leader. And the future of work demands that attitude. So it's less about hierarchy and ego, and it's more about how do we come together collectively and collaboratively to create what we say we want to create. And old-style leadership was really command and control, top-down, hierarchy, one person got the recognition. What I'm talking about in this book is evolving to a shared leadership model where, yes, you're still going to have positions of authority, but everybody's opinion counts. Everybody's strengths are important. And that to be a leader today is to be able to bring that together so that you're inspiring people, that you're leveraging their strengths, and you're helping them to be successful. So again, similar to speaking, it goes beyond self and more about how do I add value to others so that they're so engaged that they want to continue to follow the direction that I'm guiding them towards. And that really, in a nutshell, is what the book provides, is a step-by-step way for leaders and organizations to move away from the me focus of leadership to a we focus of leadership. That's really what I'm really excited about getting across in the book.
I like the sound of that. I mean, I've always been, yes, and you do have the skill of enrolling people into your ideas. I can vouch for that. But I mean, the two times that I've felt very uncomfortable in organizations is when it was a me leader.
Yes.
Where instead of leading by example or collaborative or being on my side, if you want, and providing me with resources, they told me what to do. And of course, that is the old style model, right? That is the old-fashioned way of doing it. But you've got so many boomers still running companies.
Yes.
And a lot of boomers, we grew up with that.
Yes.
We grew up with do as I say, not do as I do, or how can I help you?
Yes.
Now, I know that you've done a lot of research about the different millennials, X. I mean, what's the greatest challenge for a boomer leader today? What's their greatest challenge?
Well, it's what you just said. I think let's change up the word challenge with the word opportunity. I think the greatest opportunity for boomers is to open the mind, and in my book, again, it's about changing the mindset and changing the intention to one of collaboration. Now, I'll tell you where boomers are listening is boomer business owners and boomer CEOs are recognizing that the future of work is now. And that the imperative for boomers to be more flexible and malleable to the Generation Y attitudes, to the reality of technological innovation, to the reality that Gen X and Gen Y don't even respond to command and control. They'll quit before they'll even spend time in that environment. So it's a business imperative. That's where boomers are listening now, is they're recognizing that the way they've done it is no longer working. And so I see the opportunity, and the guidance that I provide in my book is how do we do that? How do we change the mindset? I talk about the WOW model. What's the opportunity? So what's working right now? What's the opportunity? What's next? And so rather than focusing on what's not working or what our weaknesses are or our threats are, let's focus on where the energy is. What is working? What's our opportunities? What do we do next? And I think regardless of generation, everyone wants the same things. However, the way to get there is different based on values and attitudes and, as you said, programming of the past. A lot of boomers are still operating from programming of the past, and they have an opportunity to shift their mind.
Yeah, I think well, that's one of the things that I work on in my kind of training business, because I train people to speak, to communicate, and one of the first things I work on is mindset. Yes. You know, if you've got a mindset that is difficult or intransient, it's not flexible, it will, you are in trouble.
Yes.
And the flexibility is the key. And the older you get, the harder it is to get flexibility. I know that from my yoga class. We're just going to take a short commercial break. Penny's going to tell us about next week's guest. And Penny, who's coming on next week on ProSpeak?
Okay, well, hi, everybody. So next week is ProSpeak number 14, Speakers, Books, and Publishing with Jessie Frankelstein. And she has a true passion for actually helping people live their dreams and build it out. And so she sees the bigger picture when she works with her clients. And she's very successful in what she does, and it's going to be a great, great show.
Yes. you know, Jessie works with people, speakers, trainers, authors, to get their books published, to help them publish and self-publish. Now, you've done a lot of publishing. You did some of your own. Now you've got a very large publisher behind it. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's it's interesting. My first book I wrote in 2001, right after 9/11, and it was called "Say What You Mean What You Say," and I've self-published that book, and it was very. Your first book is probably your most. I compare it to giving birth. Because your first book is really about getting clear on your ideas, getting clear on what it is you're wanting to tell the world about, what you want to help them with. And then following that book, I self-published 50 Ways to Lead and Love It. And then followed that with a book called The Control Freak Revolution, which was published by Career Press in 2008.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a very successful book. I actually picked up. It was published in China. It was very successful. And then followed that with another self-published book in 2014 called Leadership Mastery in the Digital Age. And then the publisher found me. And so what happened is, I believe if you believe it, do it. So if you believe you have a book, write it, self-publish it, take action. Don't wait for a publisher to find you. In my case, what happened is, because I had done those 5 books, and I do have a great social media presence, I do have a very established brand, they came to me and said, we'd like to publish your next book. And I think I shared with you before we came on air, Geoffrey, that I did write that book in a very short window of time, because they needed it and wanted it by May 1st so that it could publish this fall. But also I did, when I got the Career Press book, I did have an agent at that time. And so if you're trying to get a publisher, in my experience, the best way to get a publisher is through an agent. But many agents won't pick you up until you've at least self-published or made some effort to build your own audience and book delivery. That's my experience.
Well, talking about books, presentation power. Thank you for the intro there. That's cheeky, isn't it? Presentation power, and you can see it behind me. Oh no, that's my ex. My screen is reversed. I'm trying to figure it out. Oh well. Anyway, this weekend, as part of promotion, my new book, Presentation Power, we can actually give people a digital copy. So if they go to the website, GeoffreyXLane.com, and just scroll down a little bit, put in their email address, they will get a digital copy. It's a full interactive digital copy.
Lovely.
And yeah, it's lots of fun. It's got the story of 2010 and different things like that, and it's evolved a lot since I first started to train people to speak. Now, what's next for Cheryl Cran? I mean, what's the next step in your journey? You really have helped a lot of people. Are you at your zenith, or have you got more to go? You want more to go? Because people say to me, Geoffrey, when are you going to retire? Well, Cheryl, are you getting ready to retire? What's your next step? You got a new book? What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's such a great question. There is no zenith in my world. There's no, I will never retire. There is no end zone, because I believe that if you're passionate about something, there's no timeline to that. What will change is maybe your delivery, maybe you'll change the number of times you do what you do, but in my case, I have very big visions for the next phase of what I'm doing, which is really modeling what I shared earlier about moving from me to we. And in addition to the book, I'm actually launching a program that goes alongside the book that organizations can do online. I'm building an online portal that will have resources for leaders and their teams, and it's targeted to organizations who want their leaders to learn at the same time. And that portal is called the Evolutionary Leaders Network, and it's an extension off my future of work that I've already done with my website, CherylCran.com. And the Evolutionary Leaders Network is going to have 4 channels of access for leaders where they can come in, and it'll be built on an evolutionary scale. And I'll be involving other leaders and other experts and other coaches to support each of those channels. And then ultimately, to work with me, there'll be an evolutionary annual retreat, which will be focused purely on evolutionary leadership, which has not been delivered out there at all. It's new content that I've co-created with a gentleman named Dr. Epstein. So there is no zenith. I am totally fired up around changing the world, honestly. And so for me, becoming a new grandparent has even lit more of a fire around the fact that I've got more to do and more to create, and now I have a legacy. I've got, a little girl named Olive that I want to leave something for her that she goes, my Nana did something great in her lifetime, and it goes beyond me. It's really about expanding it to we. So I'm excited about what's to come.
Ah, I love it. I love it because, I mean, what you just described is what we're doing here. We are in the process with ProSpeak, starting to unwrap our online portal.
Yes.
Where people can come and take speaking online, and they can do it at sort of self-directed pace, and then there's a guided one with me, which we call the Essentials Live, and then there is something we call the Crucible.
Sounds important.
Well, it's kind of like boot camp for experienced speakers, right?
Yeah.
And every now and then, every speaker should go to boot camp. Look at skills, look at background, look at what they're doing, and stuff. So, wow! You see, I found the same path as you, but I found it when I contemplating after having open heart surgery. How can I continue to do? Because I'm not going to stop.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you have a gift to share, there is no stopping.
No stopping. And I think one of the keys in the world is your ability to communicate with people. You do it superbly. Penny does it superbly. I know several people, but there are so many people that I see that their intentions are well, that even their intentions are even from the heart, but their understanding of the psychology and the emotional impact of what they do and what they say destroys all that or gets in the way. Yeah, would you agree?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Again, I think that comes back to, if you're going to be someone who changes the lives of others, you must be willing to change your own life. You must be able to live the messages you're speaking. If I wrote a book on the art of change leadership and I wasn't adaptable, it wouldn't be valid. It wouldn't be authentic. If I'm talking about the concepts of me to we and I'm not modeling them, it's not authentic. So I think that people, the more they can get into the true connection of who they are and express that through their work, that's not only the key to success in work, but that's the key to success in who you are as a person and living that authentic life. That's what I believe.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I have been using the word authentic before it became sort of a marketing word.
Yes. Yeah.
And it for me, authenticity, I mean, I've got all these little signs, I have a no bullshit.
Yes, I love that. Yes, I agree.
And it's not that I want to be rude to anybody. It's just I don't have time for the BS or lack of authenticity. And I mean, one of the reasons I invited you because you're authentic, you're real, you are what I hope everybody aspires to be as a professional speaker, and because you have such an enormous opportunity to influence and change people.
Oh, I appreciate your kind words, Geoffrey. I feel the same way about you. I think, you've been in the industry a long time. You've helped a lot of people to improve their speaking, which ultimately changes the world, because the more people you can help share their message in a compelling way, the more we're all impacting the world. So right back at you.
Okay, well, it's kind of like a mutual admiration society here. Well, okay, Cheryl, I promised you that we would be about 30 minutes, and Penny, I think we are at 30 minutes. Yeah. And Cheryl, thank you very, very much for being here. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget, ProSpeak on Fridays, 12 noon. And it is about helping speakers, facilitators, workshop leaders, hangout hosts, and those that want to be those. We will provide you with interviews, tips, skills, and training. So thank you. And next week we have, who is it, Penny? Who do we have next week? It's Jesse Finkelstein.
Jesse Finkelstein, yes.
And what's the title?
ProSpeak number 14.
Books, authors, and
speakers, publishers.
Yeah. I've even forgotten my own title. What is it again?
Books, publishers, speakers.
Anyway,
Yep.
You're going to find out the inside story from one of the best in the business, and she lives in Vancouver. Jessie's very, very good. She used to be at Rainbow Books, used to be in acquisitions and new books and new publishing, and Jessie will talk to us about and answer questions about self-publishing, being an agent, and how to get it going. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much, and okay, we'll see you next week.